Congressman Jody Hice, representing Georgia's 10th District. Congressman, as always, great to have you on. I appreciate your time.
Oh, great to be with you again. Thanks.
And I understand you're driving. Are you back in Georgia, or are you in the district still?
I am in Georgia, and not quite in the district, but boy, it's great to see heavy traffic. Georgia's open, and boy, everybody is out.
Now, when was the last time
but we're safe.
When were you home last? I mean, have you noticed a remarkable difference in the number of people who were out in the last few weeks?
Yeah, there's no question. Georgia has pretty much been open throughout, at least moderately so, and pretty significantly so. We never really shut down the state. The airport was fairly light there a year ago, but it's been increasingly getting busier with each month. And I tell you now, it's just slam packed. It's the Atlanta airport's as busy as ever right now from appearance. So are the streets and businesses overall. Really excited to see not only here in Georgia, but we're seeing Texas and other states just absolutely open up, and it's good for America. It's time we open our economy.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day with former Congressman Jim Renacci about Ohio, where Governor DeWine has kept many of the restrictions. Our curfew has been loosened, but restaurants are still at a reduced capacity. And I notice more people out as well, especially going out to eat, where the restaurants have done a tremendous job cleaning and keeping things safe for their clientele. But downtown Toledo especially is much quieter than it was 365 days ago. Literally a year ago is when we shut down our offices. I live and work in downtown. The streets are much quieter, but then at night people are coming out and going to the restaurant. So that's a good thing. I think that the pandemic has changed forever the way a lot of people will work, and we may not see as many people returning to downtown areas and to offices, which will be a cultural shift. But I think we're on our way back, and that's a good thing. And a good place to start, too, because one of the things I was in a debate back and forth earlier this afternoon with one of your colleagues, Congressman Tim Ryan, the Democrat from Ohio 17th, talking about the pork-filled $1.9 trillion spending bill. I mean, I even hesitate to call it a relief bill because there's very little actual relief in this bill.
There's very little relief in this bill. In fact, only about 9%. Just think of that. Only 9% of a nearly $2 trillion package is going for COVID relief. And yet that's what it's supposed to be identified and known as, is yet another COVID relief stimulus bill. It's a Nancy Pelosi payoff bill. That's what it is. We have tons of money going to blue states. In fact, the San Francisco, her hometown, I think it's $600 million going to San Francisco, which will basically bail them out of the debt that they have. And it's all these blue states, blue cities that have been unbelievably irresponsible with taxpayer monies, and it's red states like Ohio and Georgia, up until this past election at least, and all the red states and places that are open that are bailing out the rest of the country. It's just an absolute waste of money. National endowments of the arts, Amtrak, foreign aid, keeping schools closed, paying money for years and years and years, 7 years for the schools, and yet we're looking at schools opening here in the next a couple of weeks, and we're being told the pandemic is virtually going to be over here within the next couple of months, and yet we have billions, $128 billion going to education over the next 7 years for teachers who refuse to teach. So it's just a pork-filled monstrosity of a horrible piece of legislation.
Well, and not to get off track, but we've got Democrats and teacher unions who are keeping schools closed. Meanwhile, we're opening the border to kids and undocumented parents coming across our border who are not being tested for COVID-19 at all. So that's one way to make sure that the pandemic continues, is to allow unvaccinated, potentially infected people illegally into the country. But that's a whole other set of problems. As we look at this spending bill, I did the math, and true, I was educated in Alabama and Mississippi, so I may be off by a couple of zeros, but every tax-paying American right now, because of this $1.9 trillion, is on the hook for an additional $154,000 per tax-paying American. It's lunacy. There's no way that we pay this debt back. We've mortgaged and leveraged our grandkids and our great-great-great-grandkids' future on some of these spending projects.
Yeah, absolutely. And just this one bill alone, it's over $5,700 per person that they now owe the federal government, just on this one bill. And what you talked about is the $30 trillion that we owe, but just on this one bill adds another $5,750 to every single citizen. And then the government says, "Oh, but we're going to give you $1,400 back." And so you're going to get $1,400, but you just went in debt $5,700. It's a bad deal even in every way. And I was talking to one of my fellow Democrat colleagues on the House floor about this yesterday, and he said, "Oh, but it's an investment." Listen, this is no investment. This is bankrupting our country. It is total irresponsibility when it comes to handling the hard-earned monies of our taxpayers across this country. If we want to stimulate the economy, the only way of doing that is opening the economy. And thank goodness we have good states that are leading the way in that direction. We need the rest of the country to come along.
Yeah, we were looking at some of the numbers out of the bailout numbers from this spending bill. Toledo itself will get $189 million, which is about 67% of 1 year's general fund budget. And on top of that, the county gets another $83 million. Now, that may or may not be good for the city and county with a loss of revenue, but I'm not sure I'm willing to take that trade-off. As much as I love Toledo and Northwest Ohio, it's not the right time. Let's maybe perhaps manage city and county and state government better so we don't get into these predicaments where we need a government taxpayer-funded bailout.
Yeah, that's right, because it's totally unsustainable. We cannot continue bailing out cities and states that have not done a good job managing the funds that they have. And, you know, it comes on the taxpayers of other states that have done a good job managing those funds. It's unfair. It's not right. It's unsustainable. And it continues us down a path of national.
Again, Congressman Hice is driving, so we had a quick loss there, but we got your point, Congressman. Also today, before ending legislative business for the week, the House took action to attack our Second Amendment rights. A couple of bills today on gun legislation. Tell us about this.
Yeah, we had one bill that is involving universal background checks, which we know do zero when it comes to ending or curtailing gun violence. By definition, criminals don't follow the law. There is not a single shred of significant evidence that in any shape, form, or fashion would indicate that universal background checks prevent criminals from getting guns. The 75%, according to the Department of Justice, 75% of those who are in prison for gun violence obtained their guns through theft or the black market or through family or friends. They did not go purchase them from a store. So that's one horrible thing that all it does is restrict the Second Amendment rights of Americans. The second bill is likewise egregious. It indefinitely lengthens the time that the FBI has to search a person before they receive a gun. Right now, a person goes to purchase a gun. The FBI has 3 days to do the background check on that person, 3 business days to do background checks on that individual. The bill that the Democrats rammed through Congress says now that the FBI has an indefinite period of time. So if they never want to allow the purchase of a firearm, then a person could attempt to get one, and even with no record, no criminal background, red flags, they would not be able to purchase one. But those two bills both were crammed down the throats of America this past week with the Democratic Socialist majority.
So essentially that second bill gives the FBI the ability to do what would amount to a pocket veto of any attempt to buy a gun. If you want to have a liberally led Federal Bureau of Investigation, you just put all background checks on hold indefinitely, and nobody new would be able to purchase a gun.
That's exactly what it does. And when you look at the leadership we've had in the FBI with the likes of James Comey, you know that anything is possible for the FBI to totally veto anyone from purchasing a firearm when they have that kind of power to delay indefinitely the right of citizens to purchase a firearm.
We're talking with Congressman Jody Hice here on the Scott Sand Show. Just a few moments ago as well, Congressman, we were talking with Mark Morgan, former acting head of ICE and CBP, about Biden's immigration policy, or really lack thereof. There's complete chaos at our border right now. And on top of the pandemic and this attack on our Second Amendment and First Amendment rights as well, now immigration policy is being reversed from President Trump under Biden and the Democrats, and we're going to see an even larger influx of illegal immigration across the southern border.
There's no question about it, Scott, and I will tell you I'm very likely going to lose you here in the next minute or so just in light of where I am. But listen, this administration inherited a great condition on our southern border. It was so secure, more secure than it's been in decades, and in less than 3 months, this administration has managed to totally undo what had become a very good situation on our southern border. Already, in less than 3 months, we are having more numbers of illegal immigrants in custody than we ever had at the peak of the worst of situations under the Trump administration, and all that has happened in less than 3 months. This administration has absolutely no clue what they're doing. They are using what they used to call kids in cages, the very same facilities being used now, and the attitude is, oh, these are welcome centers now. But it is an absolute disaster to the point that they're even calling on volunteers to come help with what's happening on the southern border. It is a chaos. It is only going to get worse until we close the border and abide by the laws of the land for people to come into America legally.
I know you're driving through rural Georgia. How many peach stands have you passed?
None yet, but I'm the past one.
I remember driving through that area. You always run into a peach stand or Vidalia onions.
Oh, yeah. And they're great together, by the way. They really are.
Huh. I like it.
Yeah, a little sweet. A little sweet, and the Vidalias are sweet for an onion, so it's a good little combo there. A little slice of Vidalia with a slice of peach goes good.
Maybe some goat cheese as well. How's Georgia going to do in the basketball tournament? Are you following March Madness at all yet?
I've not gotten into it yet. Typically Georgia's stronger on the football field than they are the basketball court. But, hopefully we'll turn that around this year.
Congressman Jody Hice, always great to have you on. Have a safe drive back home.
Thank you, Scott. Great talking with you.